of his starts and threw almost as many interceptions as touchdowns. But last season, he won 14 games, the most by a quarterback in his first season with the team since 1950, and he averaged over a yard more per attempt and had nearly 3 times as many touchdowns as interceptions. We have the brain trust here. We got Field Yates in the house. We got Tim Hasselbeck. Mel Kiper Jr. is coming along with his mock as well. But let's start right here. Tim, what would you like to see the Vikings do at quarterback?
Well, let me start by saying I think the Vikings are going to move forward with J.J. McCarthy. I think that's what they will do. But I actually would build around Sam Darnold. Look, he's just turned 28 or about to turn 28 years old. He's a really talented player who came into the league into a bad situation. He's kind of played through some tough spots and come out on the other side. It's very difficult to do, and I think it says a lot about you as a player. And then he played at an extremely high level for the Vikings a year ago. So if you're the Vikings, you know he can do it for your organization in the environment that you've put him in. So to me, you never know on somebody that hasn't played. Like, I don't care how much you've evaluated. I don't care how promising of a prospect they are. You don't know until it actually happens. You actually have seen it with Sam Darnold. And he's not a 36-year-old quarterback. He's got plenty of time before he's even 30 years old. So what I would do is I would build around Sam Darnold. I don't believe that's the direction they will go, but that is the direction I would go.
Yeah, and Tim, I would go with J.J. McCarthy as my quarterback of the future, and I would trust the scouting that led you to move up from pick number 11 to number 10 and take him last year as the 5th quarterback off the board, but still a top 10 overall selection. And also trust in the infrastructure that led you to feel confident in Sam Darnold this past season, because coming in to last regular season, Sam Darnold had way more questions surrounding him than answers, which he provided throughout the course of much of the season, the final 2 games notwithstanding. I think J.J. McCarthy, if he was in this year's draft class, might be in contention to be the number 1 overall pick selected. But I would not entirely let go of Sam Darnold. What I would be doing is following the path the Chiefs took last year with cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, who they franchise tagged with the complete intention of finding a trade partner. It was basically just buying them extra time to eventually send him to Tennessee in a trade that's going to net Kansas City a near the top of the 3rd round pick this year. So if I'm Minnesota, the market for Sam Darnold is going to be multiple teams. I understand trades for quarterbacks can be complicated, but I would start with that franchise tag and see if you can't get some draft compensation in return. Minnesota very short on picks this year.
Yeah, that would be around a $40 million tag at this point. You mentioned J.J. McCarthy, and they went all the way up to 10 to get him last year. What he would do if he was in the draft this year, a lot, because, well, it's pretty thin at quarterback. 6 taken in the first 12 picks last year. Not nearly as many options in round 1 this year. Mel Kiper released his latest mock today, gives us top 3 picks. Let's go. Ooh, Mel, where are the quarterbacks? Start at number 3 in the Giants for us.
Let's go to Giants. I don't like quarterback. I'm going to assume it's maybe Matthew Stafford. They go a different direction and get, I think, the best player in this draft, which is Travis Hunter, cornerback, wide receiver, do-it-all performer from Colorado. That's what they need. Another weapon with Malik Neighbors. You team in with Neighbors, good luck trying to stop that offense. Cornerback as well, another neat area. The guy can play both ways. Figure where he is going to be best at. Sprinkle him in at the other spot in the big game or in the Super Bowl. Then you go to Cleveland. I'm thinking here, and Adam Schefter concurs, there's got to be a quarterback. You're in a division with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow in the AFC. Deshaun Watson trade was a disaster. Now you get Cam Ward. He can play it at Internet Word, but he played at Washington State out in Pullman. Weather conditions, obviously a factor in Cleveland, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. He can handle that. He can cut through, win. He has the arm strength to do it. He's a better fit there than Shedeur Sanders. Tennessee, again, I like Will Levis. Not going to belabor that point. A lot of people don't. I do. But, hey, they'll get another option. But here you take the best player you feel on the board. And I talked to my NFL friends, Hannah, and they feel Abdul Carter will be the guy. I have these 2 behind Travis Hunter. Abdul Carter this year, when he's unleashed off the edge after moving from off ball to outside, was a sack artist. They need him to be that way because that's their number 1 need. The number 1 priority for the Tennessee Titans is edge rusher. If he's one player on your board, you take him, and then you figure out quarterback and hope that Will Levis maybe improves in year 3. And I saw a lot of good things from Will this past year. Some bad things, but some really good things as well.
Yeah, they've already told Will Levis to expect some competition next year. Speaking of the Titans, their new general manager, Mike Borgonzi, says the phone lines are open for anybody interested in that top pick.
And it has been in the media, for sure. Anytime you have number 1 pick, it's always going to be a topic of conversation. I would say we've had some phone calls Yeah, and I'll keep those phone calls to the vest, but we've had some phone calls, yeah. There's a handful of players, anytime you're at the top of the draft that you would deem generational talents, and we certainly feel that way this year as well.
GM speak is just so much fun this time of year. Field, should Tennessee be in the market, though, for a quarterback at the draft?
Hannah, I think there is a fundamental difference between the Titans and some of the teams that follow them in the order, the Browns and the Giants and also the Raiders in this regard. This is a team whose timeline is not forcing them to take a quarterback right now, to the point that if they deem a different prospect worthy of that number 1 overall pick or find a trade partner to add additional draft capital, that would be the direction that I would go. While I'm not as confident in Will Levis as a long-term starter in the NFL or even a short-term starter in the NFL as Mel is, I think he is still young enough going into his 3rd season that you can make a credible case that you could invest in him one more time and potentially add a veteran at some point in free agency rather than forcing the issue if you are not fully and totally convicted on a quarterback to be taken number 1 overall, which of course would mean you're bypassing elite talents of the mold of Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter or even Mason Graham from Michigan.
Yeah, and I think you got to love the quarterback. If Tennessee loves one of these 2 quarterbacks, then you take that quarterback and you let him compete with Will, and you would hope that he would beat, if you're taking number 1, and maybe beat him out. If he doesn't, hey, it's great because Will Levis becomes the guy. Either way, you got to get the right quarterback. So if they love one, you take them. But when talking to NFL people, it's a lot of polarizing situation with these quarterbacks. Some think they're okay. Some say they should be 3rd-round picks. Some are just down on this quarterback group in general in terms of the top part. But I think what's in Tennessee's case, if you love one, you take him. If you don't, you take Abdul Carter. And that seems to be the direction they may go. Obviously, this is a team, as you said, has some time on their hands. We'll see if Levis develops. If he doesn't, there's other options. There's other options in free agency, trade, that he can bring in somebody else to compete, even if they don't get a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, and listen, they don't lay all of last season's disaster on his feet. Obviously, he couldn't take care of the football, but they didn't as a team. They had way too many penalties, a lot to clean up. Cam Ward to Cleveland, number 2 overall in Mel's mock. What do you think?
Yeah, so I just said that the Titans have some time on their side, right? They are a fresh organization in terms of experience, a second-year head coach and a first-year GM. Cleveland, not in that situation, and they have no way of getting out of the Deshaun Watson deal for not just this year, but also next. As a matter of fact, as we know, Deshaun's not going to play this season after re-tearing his Achilles not long ago. They need to add a quarterback. What other option is Cleveland going to have for a team that is desperate to get this position right? The Deshaun Watson trade is over and done with. It's a sunk cost. You can't use that as an excuse to not reinvest in the position. And it feels like for several years running, Hannah, we have talked about how the Browns roster is pretty good if they can only get that quarterback situation figured out. The same shine around that Browns roster is not there right now, but there are enough pieces in place that they must prioritize that quarterback spot, Mel.
Yeah, and again, you're picking 2nd, right? You would hope you get a quarterback that's ranked 1 or 2 on your board. I am at 5-6. You don't have them even that high, Field, so this would be a stretch even for Cam Ward. But again, the pressure to get the quarterback position right, the pressure to keep up with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson and all those other quarterbacks in the AFC will lead them probably to take Cam Ward and roll the dice. And, hey, he can fix. And Hannah talked about Will Levis. A couple of those mistakes in those games, one mistake in each game early on, right, cost them, right? And we always talk about that one mistake. Well, Cam Ward made some mistakes, but in college football, you can overcome that in the second half. So he's got to clean up some of that reckless, careless behavior with the football in his hands. And if he does that, he can be maybe a franchise quarterback.
Browns have already taken 4 quarterbacks in the last 20 years, the most in the NFL in that span. See, it's not just coaches that they cycle through there. It's quarterbacks also.
Quarterbacks often, yeah.
All right, yeah. Back to the mock wall. It's interesting that Mel has the Giants and the Raiders both passing on a quarterback. Just want to clarify that's because our friend Mel thinks those teams are going to address that position outside of the draft. So that means
a major news story has just emerged involving the Minnesota Vikings and their quarterback, Sam Darnold. Rumors are swirling about the possibility of the team tagging him as a franchise player and then trading him, but the big question is, what will Darnold's market value be? Today, I bring you all the details about this situation and what the Vikings could really get for him. Stay tuned to learn more about what could be a strategic move or just a market failure. Before diving into the main details of this potential trade, it's important to understand the Vikings situation heading into the next draft. Currently, the team only has 4 picks, making any move in the market crucial for their future. Experts say that Minnesota is looking to accumulate more picks, and moving Darnold could be one of their most viable options. However, the big question is, can they get a high-value pick, or will they have to settle for something less? Rumors from the NFL Scouting Combine have put Sam Darnold at the center of speculation. It's said that the Vikings could use the franchise tag on him, then negotiate a trade. However, expectations of receiving a first or second-round pick in exchange seem unrealistic. According to Alec Lewis from The Athletic, a trade for Darnold would likely yield a third or fourth-round pick. With only 4 draft selections, Minnesota could see this as an opportunity to strengthen their roster without compromising too much of their immediate future. What do you think about the Vikings' potential strategy with Sam Darnold? Do you think they should look for a trade and add another draft pick, or would it be better to keep him as a backup option? Leave your opinion in the comments, and let us know what you would do if you were in the Vikings front office. We want to hear what you think. Now, let's get into the news that's shaking up the NFL market. The Minnesota Vikings could be making a key decision that will directly impact their future at quarterback. There are strong rumors that the team is already evaluating options for a potential tag-and trade with Sam Darnold, and several teams are on the radar as potential trade partners. The Minnesota Vikings are at the center of rumors at the NFL Scouting Combine. Reports suggest the team could place the franchise tag on Sam Darnold with the intention of trading him. However, expectations of receiving a high draft pick are not very optimistic. Experts from The Athletic and NFL Network suggest that, at best, Minnesota could get a third or fourth-round pick for Darnold. Despite this, teams like the Raiders, Steelers, Giants, and Saints could be interested in negotiating. If the Vikings manage to complete a trade for Sam Darnold, it could mean that the team already has a clear plan for their future at quarterback. With rumors pointing to J.J. McCarthy as their ideal candidate in the draft, Minnesota could use the pick acquired in the trade to strengthen other key areas of the team. On the other hand, teams like the Raiders and the Saints, who need a quarterback, could benefit from acquiring Darnold at a reasonable price. Now, we want to hear your opinion. Do you think the Vikings are making the right decision by considering a trade for Sam Darnold? Or should they keep him as a backup option? Also, which team do you think would be the best fit for Darnold if the trade happens? Leave your comment below. We want to know what you think. And that's it for this update on the Minnesota Vikings and the potential Sam Darnold trade. Without a doubt, the team's future at quarterback is still generating a lot of expectations. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to stay updated on all the latest NFL news. Activate the notification bell so you don't miss any details. See you in the next video with more exclusive news and analysis. Until next time,